So we're talking about security management practice today. Security what management practice. That's what we'll be discussing today, and these are learning objectives, which is we talk about states, this the objectives of security management, and then we also describe the challenges and benefits of security management. And then we talk about the risk assessment and the management of risk assessment. I also explain the security infrastructure auditing, the security what infrastructure, the device, the firewall, the IDS, and so forth, the smart cards, physical security, and so on and so forth, auditing them. And then we also talk about the importance of training, awareness, and education, educating your staffs, the importance of training them. Because number one thing, they are the first line in defense. This your staff are the first line in defense. Now, if any attack is to come, it's the people that are working for you will be the first person to be attacked because they are the one using all this was infrastructure, the network, the organization IT infrastructure. They are the one in charge using it. So this is the introduction part. We're talking about information assets within an organization. They are crucial because they represent the inflow and outflow of data and maintain details about all what is happening within an organization. All the system, the router, the IT, the organization, network devices, setup, servers, and so forth. That's what that carry out the operation of the organization. They are of importance to the organization because without this, the organization business operation will stop. So they are very of important main thing. And then it is necessary that they are identified and managed properly. You have to know all these devices and manage them properly. If not, there may be a failure in operation. And then to address this, we have the security management, which identify the organization information assets. Now, with the help of the security, the cyber security or the information security management team, we'll be able to manage all this and all this area. And then the target is to ensure the CI tried. When we're talking about the CI tried, we're talking about the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. That's what we are talking about. To make sure that the confidentiality, unauthorized personnel does not have access to this kind of what information system, and the integrity, which is unauthorized entity, does not modify, alter the content of the information assets. And then the last, which is availability, making sure that these IT infrastructure devices, the information systems are available at any was given time, at any time that the user or the entity that is assigned to use this information system to make sure that it is available. Any breakage, like any of these theory, if any one of them is at default, like maybe if any one of them is not available, if any of them is being altered, or there's any breach in any of these theory, which means the side tried has been compromised. And then confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the company information and the information assets. All this, that's the proper goal, is to achieve this. And then the objectives of security management. This is the main reason for having security management. Number one is to plan the security policy according to the business priority. Based on the business operation, is to what? Plan security policy, implement security policy based on the business of operation. You cannot implement security policy for healthcare industry for an oil company or construction company. It should not work that way. An organization, hospital policy is different from a company policy. You cannot implement that. So, based on the business priority, based on the business operation, a policy will be implemented. And then we also have to make sure the security policy is compliant with security standard, to make sure that the security policy is compliant with what the security standard. We have many standards: ISO 27001, 00. We also have 002 of different versions. We also have them. These are the framework we have. So using that framework, you can use these are the standard you can use it to make sure that the policy are of standard. And then you also have to mitigate threats to ensure business continuity. There's always threats along the line. So to make sure that all these threats are mitigated, this is why the security management, this is the objectives of the what of the security management, to make sure that business continuity is in progress. Business operation is in progress. There's no what disturbance, or there's no issue along the line. That's why what security management come into place. Now let's talk. This is the second phase, which is security management also monitor to check the company security requirements are correctly set in service level agreement, hence ensuring security goals are achieved. We have to, based on the service level agreement, this sorry, uh, this part of the part of the objective for security management is to make sure that based on service level agreement, the service provider of the organization ensure that the security requirements are met of standard based on the service level agreement. Maybe there's a organization that give you, say, like you outsource some of the activities of the company to other company. Based on the level agreement, also the security management team also ensure that based on the contract signed by other organization with your company, the kind of services they are they are giving the organization, your company, is of standard based on the level service level agreements you guys signed together. And it also include taking care of general threats to which the IT infrastructure is vulnerable and may not be what included in the SLA. If there's no agreement that is what in the SLA, service level agreement, the function of the part of the objective of security management is to make sure that they take care of any threats that leverage to the IT infrastructure of the organization, to make sure that all these angles are mitigated. And it is also important that the security management to be proactive. Anytime it's not that they should be part of they have to be proactive and analyze new security risks that could result in updates or modification to the infrastructure, new business line additions, and so on. So they have to make sure that they are proactive, new vulnerability, new threats that are coming up. They have to check the IT infrastructure, the organization IT infrastructure, to ensure that all these things are what mitigated also. And then this is the structure from the clients. We have the support, we have the security management team, they plan, they analyze, they implement, and then based on the service level agreement that comes to the implementation of the security. If you check here, these are the security management team. They plan from after they plan, they look at the support they gain from what your others team, maybe external bodies, they check the service level agreement for the implementation, and then they analyze it. They look after they analyze, they look at the report again. They give reports based on the level here and here and here. This is how this thing works. Do you understand this angle? No question so far. Do you understand? Hmm? Okay, come. Should I come again? Okay. Now this is the security management team. Now they are the ones to implement. Maybe it may be them to implement, or they contracted it to other organizations that are good at the implementation of the security. So they plan based on the organization business operation priorities. After they plan, they do implementation. After implementation, they do analysis, and then I check the support. After the analysis, they check the support from also the security management team. They also check the support also. Now, based on the service level agreement of standard, it can be maybe from the external company that are giving them the service, or the standard of security requirements. So they check it, they look at the implementation they have done, and they give reports here. And this is the client they are giving the service to. It can be other companies, or it may be your internal IT team or security management team that are doing it, or external. You understand? Thank you. Well, now let's talk about the advantage of security management. Number one, circumventing intrusion caused by hacking, virus, and etc. To make sure that to mitigate any intrusion, that's it was part of advantage to mitigate it, to make sure that none of this is possible with the organization, and then reducing occurrence of intrusion to reduce the rate of what occurrence of intrusion, and maintaining data integrity by having information accessible to maintaining the integrity. When we're talking of integrity, we are talking of modifications. So to make sure that data integrity is of what is of intact, it has not been was compromised. And then we also have maintaining data confidentiality by securing privacy of users. Confidentiality is making sure that we are not giving unauthorized user does not have access to this information, maintaining the confidentiality, the privacy of your customers and the users, and then compliance with rules on data protection. If you notice, we have Nigeria Data Protection Act now. It has now been hacked now. Nigeria Data Protection Act. They start from commission to bureau, from bureau now. We now have Nigeria Data Protection Act now. So you have to it has to be of compliance. And then number six is to belief of customer and user in quality of service. We call something digital trust. With the help of the security management, you as a customer, you can believe, you will know that, oh, with this bank, my money is safe with them, my information is safe with them, my everything is intact with them. Are you with me? So that is also part of our security management to make sure that the customers have trust in the organization, that their their aspects with you, with the organization, is of what is intact, it won't be compromised. That's what and then these are the challenges faced during security management implementation. Number one, lack of commitment throughout the organization. If there's no commitment to this angle, there'll be a problem. And then drawback caused by very restrictive security related policy. If the security related if there is a restrictive security related policy, there will be a drawback if this policy is very too strict. And we also have unavailability of security monitoring tools like firewall, antivirus softwares. If you don't have this thing in place, there will be a challenges. And we also have inadequate training to related staff about security rules. Inadequate training to related staffs to what about security rules. If there's no training awareness for the staff, they will not know what to do and what not to do. They will just do whatever they want to do, and this will cause a lot of problems for the organizations. And then we also have difficulty in risk evaluation due to lack of communication or coordination between different what processes. Based on different processes, if there's no communication, there's no risk evaluations, and this kind of process of task. Okay, this is the task we are doing. If there is lack of what communication, and they don't evaluate with this very well, it will affect it will it will affect the security management implementation. It will really affect it. So that's for that. Uh, so let's talk about the need for security management. Number one, security management controls and policy are most of responsible businesses, without which an organization is vulnerable to huge amount of internal and external risk. The reason why this is very important is because of what? Vulnerability. It should be what? It should be of high risk because it will cause them a lot of damages, either fine or uh, and then that can cause digital breach, data breach, if there's no what security management that is managing the organization external and internal what risk. That's why we need what the security management team, and the threat like access to private sensitive data, and then corruption of data, theft, legal liability, or other internal threats. You also have data, natural disasters, viruses, spyware, worms, and all external threats. So without this security management team, we have all these kind of issues at hand. So with the help of the what security management, we'll be able to manage all these things to mitigate all this vulnerability, both the what the natural disaster and so forth, and the external threats like the virus, spyware, worms, and so forth. With the help of the what security management, and then this is the role of site tried in security management. You know, I once explained the site tried again. At the end of the day, we still come back, fall back to this angle, the site tried. That's the goal of what? Of information security. That's the goal of cybersecurity. That's the goal of security management also, to make sure confidentiality, integrity, and availability of every services run by what? By the organization, either by your bank. You will know that your bank is always what? Your bank, if you check your bank app, if you check that the confidentiality, they always make sure that unauthorized person does not have access to your bank account, right? And number two, they also make sure that nobody transfer money from your account. Like there's modification your account balance. They also make sure that. And the last one, which is availability, they always make sure that one of the means of transferring all that the kind of services they provided, which is maybe you want to make transaction, you want to buy time, you want to buy data, you want to buy tickets to travel, to book a flight. You always make sure that all these things are available. Like in the in the service they are providing, you know that you have USS transaction, we have ATM card transaction, we have mobile app, we also have their web their web applications too, which you can perform transaction. Are you with me? So we have different what different means. They have different means. So that's the goal of what site trial. In security management, this one it refers to preserving authorized limitation on information access and disclosure, which include ways to protect personal privacy and proprietary what data. It limits access to what? Authorization, access to information, disclosure of information, except only the authorized entity. When we are talking of entity, the person that is authorized to have access to that kind of information, we only will have access to it. Apart from that, they won't allow it in security management. And we also have the integrity, protect against inappropriate modification. Even though you are assigned to have access to it, you may not be assigned to have to modify it, which is to write. In in Linux, we have read, write, and execute. Are you with me? We have read, write, and then execute. You may have access based on confidentiality. You may have access to it, which is to what read, but you may not have access to write. That's part of what. That's part of what security management. So make sure that modifying, deleting, deleting data, and safeguarding information authenticity. So that's part of what security management. to make sure that inappropriate or deleting information, modifying information, tampering is what is limited, even though you are an entity that have access to this what information. We also have availability. It's make sure that it mandates timely and reliable access to and usage of data to make sure that it is available, timely availability of this what infrastructure or information system. Now, let's talk about the role of CI tribe in security management. Now, this is the CIA confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And we have risk, control, and the basic focus of each and one of them. Now, in in the CIA, which is the confidentiality, you have to look at the risk. The risk is privacy loss. Once there is accessibility unauthorized entity, by unauthorized entities, once there's accessibility, unauthorized entity have access to it, there's privacy loss here because like your phone is your privacy, right? If I have access without your consent, or maybe there are some confidential information that I don't supposed to see, and I see it, the privacy has been what lost. And we also have identity theft. These are the risks we have. Identity what? We have identity theft also here, which is someone can take your information, can steal your information and make usage of it and start what using it. And we also have unauthorized access to information. These are the risks we have in what in the confidentiality and the controls. These are what we do to control this angle, the risk. One is access control, and number two is authentication, and number three is encryption. Controlling, like using IAM, identity and access management. Tools that we use for access control, we use IAM, identity and access management. We use that, and authentication. We have more your username and password to authenticate you that yes, you are you claim that you are. And we also use encrypting, converting that kind of information to what from a plain text to ciphertext, unreadable formats. That is encryption. We have tools for doing that also. And these are the what basic focus, which is the what information security. This area focus on the information, the assets, the data we are talking about. This is what we focus here. Now let's come to the integrity. Talking of the integrity, are you all with me? Please don't no pressing on phone. Focus. Let's talk about the integrity. Number one, the risk in the integrity is unreliable or inaccurate data or fraud. These are the kind of words of risk we have in this angle. Unreliable or inaccurate or data. Here you have to make sure that the data we have at hand is not modified to make sure that yes, all our data are intact. They are what? They are intact. And then the control is QA, audits, and check. These are the words are the things we audit, we check them if there's no what, if it has not been tampered, and the what focus, the basic focus is operation controls. Now you are using all this information, this data, you are using them for what? For the business operation. You have to make sure that all this information has not been tampered. As you are using it for your what? For the business operation. The basic focus is this angle. And then we also talk about the availability. When we are talking of availability, the risk that we face in the availability is loss of revenue. Because once the services of the bank is not available, you know what happens? You will not be able to transfer. You will not be able to transfer. She will not be able to transfer. I will not be able to do transaction. Once we are not able to do any transaction, the first thing that we have is that because per transaction they are charging us, they are losing money. They are losing what? Money for unavailability of the services. And number two, customer trust. If this if only the unavailability of the services keep on consistently, I will lose trust in that bank and I will move from that bank to other bank that are what? That their services is always available. Am I right? Exactly. Loss of what? Trust. Customers will lose trust in them that these people I can't bank with them because their service is always unavailable. And then business discontinuity, unavailable ability of these services. Once this thing continues consistently, this will lead to what every customer distrusting them. If I don't trust them, customers start leaving. This will cause of business discontinuity. These are the risks that we face in availability. And then control, backup storage, extra capacities, and plans, then test. You have to plan to test if everything is intact. Our IT infrastructures, everything, there will not be any breaches. Or let me say, there will not be any failure of our IT infrastructure system and so forth. We plan it that everything is working perfectly and keep monitoring it and backup storage. If there's any breach, you have a backup that you can come backwards to life. And then also the extra capacity, you should have more than what like more than uh, um, two operation in case maybe let me say data center. We should have more than what extra capacity, which we should have extra data center in case the one that is working fail, the other one will pick up and start working in what like Google has three data center in different three countries. If one fail, the other one will pick up. If other one, and all of them are updating on back. Everything you are doing is being updated, is being updated. Also, Facebook also have also everything you are doing is being updated on the three data centers they have. In case if one fail, other one will pick up. It starts working. They will not be different. See, they was now the one that fail come back to operations. So the basic focus is what business continuity planning. Business what continuity planning. So let's go to risk assessment and management. Risk what? Risk assessment and management. Risk analysis provide a working security position for a company. Risk assessment was provide a working security position for a company, while risk management helps to keep the company working. We should know the difference between these two keywords. Risk analysis provide working security position for a particular company, while risk management helps to keep the company working. Continuation of what of the company operations. And then risk analysis does continuously evaluate vulnerability and threat and help in risk what management program. That's the function of what risk analysis. It ensures that we evaluate vulnerabilities that leverage on what on the IT infrastructures and threats, all those threats that we will leverage on what on our IT infrastructure, and also make sure that we what it also helps in what in risk what management program by the organizations. And now we have risk analysis or assessment. We have what risk analysis or assessment, which identify outcome of risks associated with vulnerability, and it is the foundation of a security program. Based on the security program, that's when we'll be able to do risk analysis or assessment. Okay, and then risk management is when these programs are implemented and maintained to reduce the effect of outcome to minimal level. After the risk assessment, the implementation, the outcome of the risk assessment or risk analysis, so the outcome, now when it is implemented, that is when what? Risk management, maintaining these facts, maintaining the result of the risk analysis or assessment after being implemented, maintaining that so that they give us the results that we are that is expected to make sure that continuation with the help of us risk management is give us the continuation of the result that we have that we needed to make sure that it keep giving us the results we want, keep protecting, maintaining the uh okay. Let me come again. Anybody here that is lost? No. No, nobody's lost. Okay, let me come again. Risk analysis help us to what? To evaluate vulnerability and threats and risk management program. So after we have done the risk analysis, we have to, if there's any vulnerabilities that we found, we have to what? Implement them to what? To mitigate, implement the security measure to what? To mitigate this vulnerability and the risk that we see. Now, after we have implemented them, now this is when risk management will now come on board. Maintaining risk management efforts to maintain the implementation of the result of analysis. Are you with me? Or assessment. Efforts to keep maintaining them so that we will not fall back, so that we still be on point. So that's the difference. Let's talk about risk assessment or analysis. Sometimes we call it analysis or assessment. One, analyzing risk to a business by identifying and prioritizing risk is called what? Risk assessment. Identifying and prioritizing it based on how valuable the assets, how valuable the asset is to your organization. That's how we are going to prioritize such risk. And then senior management drive the process, and this is called top-down security model, usually a more favorable method from top to bottom. You identify the assets based on how what valuable this asset from number one to the list of this asset the organization was asked. How valuable the asset is, or how or how uh, um, let me continue. Once I remember the word, I will let you know. And then management set the direction of the security program and define a priority of what is more critical. Bottom of security is where lower level rank of the company staff achieve implementation of security management procedure without much involvement from the higher management. The bottom is the list of the security system asset they have, which the staff will have to handle by themselves without involving the organization management. Now, learning about different threats facing the company, analysis of threats to evaluate the level of threat, and then coming up with steps to deal with this risk is called what? Risk management. Are you with me? It's what's called risk management. Learning about different threats face the company, analyzing them, analyzing these threats, and then to evaluate the level of threat and coming up with steps to deal with this risk is called risk management. And some keyword used in this context are threat, vulnerability, and control. The threats, vulnerabilities, and the control. Now, example of the threat is by human or by nature, which could affect the business negatively. Here, either by human being, a threat actor, and then or by natural disaster like hurricane, water disaster, and so forth. And then the vulnerability can be error in configuration of the IT infrastructure or in the software or information system, and then or loophole that infringe security policy. It can be a loophole in the programming, the applications, or in the network, and then maybe there is no software update, security patch, and so forth. That is the vulnerability and the control measure taken to regulate and mitigate risk and threats. What are the measures that are being taken to make sure that everything is in control? Uh, Now, these are the risk management team. These are the amalgamation of staffs from a number of different departments, and then these are the what example of risk management team that we have staffs and group people that we bring together to form a team for the risk management team. Number one, the information technology and operation person will come from this angle. I also have information system security group also, and then we also have network and system administration, and then we also have audit group also, and infrastructure plus physical security, and then human resources also there, human resources, and then a legal team has to come from there, and then physical location safety also have to be there, and then business owner have to be there. We call them board members, the investors, the stakeholders. Those are the business owners. So those are the set of teams that comprises the risk management teams that we if you are to implement. Now, threat and vulnerability recognitions. Threats can occur due to human or natural reasons. Yes, either by human or natural disasters, nature. When we are talking of human, we are talking of it can be intentionally or unintentionally. It can be external or internal, but it is caused by what human. We call them threat actor in cybersecurity or information security. And then when we are talking of natural, I've mentioned it here like hurricane, water disaster, erosion, flood, and so forth. Like the one that happened in Borno some months away, where is it Cameroon opened their dam, abi? Is it Chad? They opened their dam that flood the whole Borno. They even entered the what's it called? Their zoo that make crocodile to escape. Series of snake escape. And they have to notify the public that snake now have entered the water, crocodile also is in water before they capture them back. And then due to internal or external factors, some common security threats are shown in the what in the figure. Now we will start from the top to bottom. Number one, security threats. And now in security threats, you have the natural and you have the human threat. When we are talking of the natural threats, which is tsunami, earthquake, hurricanes, those are the one we have. And then in the human threat is what also split in different angles. Now in the human threat, which is me and you can be a threat to our organization without knowing. Number one, we have internal threat and external threat. When we are talking of internal threats, can be a previous employee that wants to get back to the company, maybe because they fired him, maybe they did something wrong to him, and they're not going to. So no, me, I not degree. Are you with me? That is external threat. There's a case whereby a server admin, because he was fired, he entered the server room, cut all the cable connected to all the servers, use scissors to cut everything. That's why it is advisable before you fire your engineers, make sure that they don't have access to valuable assets, even though they are accounts that is very valuable. You deprive them the assets before you fire them, because if you fire them, they can get back at you and destroy all the assets that will cost the organization millions of dollars or millions of nairas. So be careful of actions that you take before you fire your staff. And also, we also have present employee, maybe lack of knowledge. That is where security training is of importance. It's of what? Importance. And then the external threats, which are the threat actors, hackers, virus, worms, trojans, hotspots. We have many of them, and so on and so on. We have malwares. So those are the what these are what structure. So any questions so far? Any question? No question. Now let's talk about threats and vulnerabilities recognitions. Threats and what? No. Okay, this is continuation. There needs to be a process in place to measure this and to see the relationship between threat, vulnerability, and risk. This table will show these are the relationship between them. These are the type of threats we have. We have human, which is internal threat. Also have human, which is external threat. And also we have human internal threat again. One, the human internal threat. The threat we have intruders. External. Here, it intruders. And number two, we also have vulnerabilities, which is absence of physical security at the entrance. This we are talking about the physical part. Like this building, if there's no physical security that is monitoring the activities of people that are coming in and coming out, a thief may come inside this compound and store valuable assets in this building and left with it. Are you with me? So that's an example. And risk that is there is theft, stealing valuable asset properties. That's what risk. Yeah. And we also have the human external threats, which is hackers, threat actors. Hackers that want to take advantage of the loopholes of vulnerability in your organizations. And we also have ineffective the vulnerability, which is what ineffective firewalls. Ineffective for firewall, IDS, IPS, ineffective. Let me say in all, ineffective security implementation. Ineffective was like misconfiguration of security devices or security software measure and so forth. Once there's misconfiguration, yes, hacker can take what advantage of that. And we also have the risk stolen private information. The risk that is attached to that, which is data breach. Once data is being breached, they can go and sell it at the dark web. Nigeria data is the most cheapest in this world. I don't know why. They are selling our oh God, have mercy. This is recorded. I should not say it because I'm going to put it on YouTube. So let us talk about the last one, which is human internal threat. Human what? Human internal threat, like present employee can be a threat if they lack the knowledge or maybe they pay them. That's why in organization, I always recommend that you pay, even though the list of your staff, those security men, you need to, because they are the most vulnerable. They are the what most vulnerable if you are not paying them well. Someone can come and meet them, take this 500K. Maybe someone you are paying 40,000, 50,000 to per month. Someone now come, take 500K. You first recalculate, say, what? These people are paying me 50,000 per month. And before I get 500,000, at least it will take me 10 good months. Ah, this is a game changer. They will take the bait. They will collect the 500K and do the bidding. And what they are going to do, the capacity of the damage it will cause may cost the organization millions of dollars. It can cost organization close to 100 million, 500,000. And also the security knowledge also has to be there, training awareness. Not only the senior staff or the staff that are inside the need the knowledge. The security man at the gate has to be what? Has to also be there. I will share a story with you guys after the end of the class. I don't want to have it today because I will share a story with you guys. And then vulnerability, failed auditing. If you do audit your system, information system, your IT infrastructure, if you don't audit them, is a kind of what? Vulnerability. And there is low integrity and utter data. You know anything, no integrity, which is what? Data is being manipulated. And the what? Uttered what? Data. That is what? That angle. And let's talk about policy. Policy development steps. Number one, patch installation policy, password setup. Number three, background check during hiring employee. Do background check for your staff. Maybe they do have a criminal record. And then practice doing termination of employee. You have to test their practice and practicing doing doing termination of what employees. You have to what. And then number five, backup routines and storage analysis. You have to what you have to make sure that your routine keep on going. And security awareness education. This is where also my own company also provides these services. I also do auditing also. Security awareness educations. You have to educate your staff and based on latest threats. updated one. And then antivirus setup also. Antivirus what setup has to also be there, and then configurations of what system. Make sure that so these are the policy that has to what be implemented. Policy. When we are talking of policy, is a step by step to what a step by step of a what business process or a particular task. Now, group of policy segregated each policy in details. We have advisory policies, we have informative policy, and regulatory policies. Talking of what advisory, this is an advice policy. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. This is an advice. Like, and then informative, giving information policies, something that like is it communicating in a written format that we used to give information, and the regulatory, which is if you didn't follow this policy, there's what consequence. This is what regulatory policies means. Now let's talk about procedure standard and the guideline. Uh,